The only two things I've ever been good at in this world are sex and sewing. Wearing my little puppy dog shirt today. It's new. I think it's cute. I can't talk today. Get your stuff together. Okay. Take 4. Wait, what am I talking about now? What's up, bitches? Welcome back to my channel. Sincerely, Sam with Sam. That's me. And this is the segment we like to call Bookworm Bitches. Today, we are talking about a book that I read in my book club. This book is called City of Girls. So this is by Elizabeth Gilbert. It is a gorgeous cover. Do we, like, look at this. Like, what? I wonder what the, that is just, but it is like a rich purple with just a little bit of gold detailing on it. It's gorgeous. When my turn came around to pick the book for book club, I decided that I was going to pick this book. Now, I originally bought this book solely based on the cover initially because it was a gorgeous cover. Like, I love the colors together. And then the inside cover sounded amazing and super interesting. So I was like, I'm gonna get this book. Being really busy during that book club month, so I actually got it from the library to listen to the audiobook. Go figure. Yeah, so I listened to the audiobook and I have to say, I was pleasantly surprised with this book. This is also a no spoiler review, so you can stick around and find out if this is the right book for you. So the full inside cover will be, I'll put in the description below. So this book takes place in New York in the 1940s. It is basically written like a big letter to Angela. Angela is asking about her father's relationship to Vivian, and Vivian writes back in a full detailed letter describing her relationship to her father and why he was so important to her. So this book is filled with all kinds of goodies. It's got these beautiful fashion images that get put into your head. Vivian is a seamstress, so you get a sense that she knows her garments, and you get a sense that the fashion in here is very upscale and it's very fashion forward in a sense. So it was really interesting to read about all the kinds of fashion and clothes that you get into in here. It's also got a very rich detail of the city back in the day, which you also come to believe entirely. Now, this book has been called out for basically being too promiscuous, basically. So this book follows Vivian, who moves to New York to be with her Auntie Peg, who runs a theater full of all kinds of characters, from showgirls to her aunt's manager assistant type who's always been in her life. Her name is Olive, and you get to meet a lot of these really kooky characters. Like I said, it's set in the 1940s, and what I really like about this book is how in some way it is very woman empowering. Like, it's about making decisions, owning those decisions, and taking control of your body and your choices. Let's get into the ratings, and we'll talk a little bit more about that as we go through them. So, as always, we are going to be critiquing these books on 6 categories. We are going to be doing pacing, storyline, characters, relatability, rereadability, and the overall score. So, first one is pacing. So this book has an odd pacing to it just because in a way written as a letter. So there are large chunks of time that are missing. Sometimes I wish we had gotten those chunks, and I definitely feel like there were a few things I wish we could have gotten. But they're trying to keep up this pace, but there are large chunks of lulls, and it definitely, again, has the average of it's a slow build up before you get to the end. So just because it's an average pacing, I'm just gonna give it a average score for the pacing. Like I said, there were some slow bits, some things that I wish had been sped up, things that I wish weren't taken out. So I'm gonna give it like it's really like, it's like so close. So yeah, 2.5 to 3 stars for the pacing itself. Let's just move on to storyline so we can get into this again. So it is like a letter, and the storyline is all about Vivian's choices on how it led to her meeting Angela's dad. There's a lot of men kind of in and out, and there are several times where you're like, oh, is this him? Is this her dad? Is this her dad? And it keeps you guessing to a certain extent who the dad is and why the rest of it is important. Just like How I Met Your Mother, you don't find out which one of the men that she had in her life was actually her dad. So I think it was well done in that aspect. I think it was a little odd, just because if I thought about this as far as an actual letter, it definitely would have been really long. In fact, this book is like over 465 pages, so it was on the longer end of things, and if I thought about it as a letter, it definitely would be a very detailed letter. Like, there are some things where I'm like, I'm reading it as a reader, and I'm like, yeah, okay, good. We're getting some characters, some levels, and then I'm like, oh, that's a very interesting thing to write in a letter to this girl who's, you know, in her, I think she's in her 20s or something, or like early 20s or something. So it was very interesting in that aspect of things, but definitely liked the storyline overall. It was really nice to see a storyline that was all about someone taking charge of their life in a certain degree and making choices, whether they were good or bad, and, you know, owning up to those and just trying to do the best she can. The back of this book has a really great quote on it. You don't have to be a good girl to be a good person. Like, that pretty much sums up Vivian's attitude towards the whole situation in the whole book. So, like I said, there were chunks missing, so I wish we had gotten some storyline there rather than just, we're here, now we're here, now we're here. But then again, that would make an even longer letter, which probably would have been weird. So overall, I'm gonna give the storyline 3 stars. Characters. So we have a lot of characters. Like I said, the main character is Vivian. She is writing a letter to Angela, who's trying to find out more information about Vivian and her dad's relationship. You have Auntie Peg, Uncle Billy, and then you have Olive, who is Aunt Peg's like assistant kind of thing. And then you have a whole whack of performers, and I think you find more about Cecilia and Edna the most as far as performers go. My thing with the characters is they all come off very human. I mean, that's the best way I can describe it. I find them very authentic. Sure, there are some things that I wish we could have gotten more, but overall, I feel I can sympathize with all of the characters. I find them very relatable. Sure, I don't like all the choices that they make, and I don't like how certain decisions are kind of not forced, but kind of a little bit more pressured on certain other characters. But at the end of the day, that's very human. You know, a lot of us can be pressured into doing things, and some of us have to own up to those decisions in the end. And sometimes they're for the good and sometimes they're not. So I think overall, I'm giving the characters a 4 because, like I said, they all have these quirks, they all have levels, they all have depth. I feel like I really got to sympathize with a lot of these characters. A lot of these characters, certain moments happen and I'm like, whoa, that's dark and that's harsh and that's terrible. And I loved this character before, but that just like, it gets you in the feels. But that's the intent, and you never know how you're gonna react to certain situations until it happens. So it was kind of all over the place for me, and it kept me guessing, but I loved it. I loved that the characters felt very organic and authentic for the most part. So 4 stars. Relatability. I found all of the characters very relatable. There are things I related to and things I didn't. So I'm a performer and I enjoy being on stage and, you know, hearing the audience, the applause. So I very much know how most of them feel about wanting to be on stage and wanting that kind of, you know, energy. And then on the other side of things, I have been known to make choices and decisions that, you know, I have to live with. You know, some of them are good, some of them, sure, I wish I could take back, but overall I think it's made me a stronger and better person. So I feel like we all do. We all have choices and we all have things we wish we could kind of take back or change, but they do make us who we are. So because the characters I find very relatable and they have, I don't know, I feel like I very well could be being very generous at this point, but I feel the characters are very well done. Some of this book takes place pre and post World War II, so it's interesting to see how things change between the eras. It also feels super authentic, so you get a sense that this is somebody who's lived through these big events. Which also gives it that authentic feel. So I'm stuck between 3.5 to 4 stars for relatability, just because, yes, all the characters are super relatable. Obviously, the circumstances are a little bit crazier, but it's the times. And I feel like between the authenticness of the times, I think that the ending is kind of a bit more relatable? I don't know. But there are certain relationships that I find super captivating and intriguing, and so yeah. So 3.5 to 4 stars. Rereadability. Do I think this book is rereadable? Well, yeah, I mean, overall it's rereadable. It's for me, it was a very easy read. It wasn't hard. I listened to the audiobook, but I guess some people have said that some of the grammar is off, but I find it a very easy beach read, you know? It's a good way to spend an afternoon. Would I reread this right now? No, but maybe in like 10 years, you know? I definitely would recommend it to people. So the overall score for City of Girls by Elizabeth Gilbert, the overall score that I give this is a 4. Now, I give this book a 4 because it was a very interesting book to read. There were lulls, but every book's got their, you know, pluses and minuses. But overall, I found it enjoyable. I am generous to books, but sometimes I don't always like historical fictions of that sort. But lately we've been reading a lot more of them in book club, and this particular book I found very interesting, and a lot of the other girls did as well. So that was a very successful book club pick for me. I'm pretty excited, so yeah. So 4 stars for this book, but that's also my opinion. Please give me your opinion. Did you read this book? Did you like it? Put in the comments down below. Like this video, subscribe to my channel, and hit that notifications button so you are notified when I post new videos and new book reviews. And until next time, I will see you bitches later. Bye!